Hello, hello, good morning. Welcome back to the TDP, Tim's Daily Podcast. Coming back at you today is Tuesday, February 6th, 2024. So I wanted to come on feeling super positive today. Don't ask me why, but I am. Yesterday was crazy at work. I don't always start out talking about work, but in fact, I guess it's because I'm actually at work when I do this. I just flip the camera around and push record, and I do it. But I just felt like positive vibes today would be nice. So something not so positive. We did lose a great country music star, Toby Keith. I have all kinds of memories listening to Toby Keith songs, singing Toby Keith songs at karaoke. One of my favorites way back in the day when we used to go to the VFW all the time was I Love This Bar. It's a great song. He had several really good ones. Should Have Been a Cowboy was a classic. We actually went and watched Toby Keith when we lived in South Carolina. And he played a version of I Should Have Been a Cowboy with like a reggae tilt to it, and it was really, really good, and just a refreshing version of kind of one of his very, very first hits. The one song that he had about, oh my gosh, he wrote it for his dad, I think. Oh man, I can't remember the name of it. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. Well, the one obviously brought to you courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue was like amazing, especially in the state that we was in when that song came out. I think he wrote it. Obviously, I'm pretty sure he wrote it right after 9/11 happened, and it's kind of like a rally cry. And I was in the Air Force at the time, so I could tell you like the sentiment around all of us was, we're ready to do what we need to do to help protect our country and, bring justice to all the people that lost family and, the firefighters and policemen who put their life on the line. And it really was like something that didn't have to happen. So, action was needed in that moment. And that song helped, kind of reinforce our mindset. And, I think it came from a place of love, honestly. A lot of people think it was, that he kind of maybe he overdid it at a vulnerable time. But, when you love your country, you love your neighbors, and something bad happens to them, you want justice, So that was what it was. So, the Chicks, I guess the Dixie Chicks said that song was ignorant. But, I'm sure that if it was their family or their friends, and it actually was their neighbors, Americans, who were mostly affected by that, 4,000 people, maybe they're the ignorant ones, right? Since they, are you going to go call for hugs? And love for people who just planned, this big, long, huge diabolical plan to murder Americans. Who's ignorant? The people that want justice, or the people that, think that they can decide how people feel about situations? See, that's the good thing about living in America is the freedom. Yeah, of course, everybody knows, speech, First Amendment, Second Amendment, speech, right to bear arms thing. But, there's also, something called freedom of thought and freedom of autonomy, that maybe it's not directly in the Constitution or anything. But, it's a real thing that I think, that's what God put into us, the freedom to think how we want and to not be gaslighted. That was actually, I guess, there's been gaslighting for decades and decades and, probably since the beginning of time. But, that was like one of the obvious gaslight situations that kind of went across the airwaves, and a lot of people heard about. They were trying to tell us how to think, in that moment. By saying that song's ignorant, you're basically saying, oh, you shouldn't think like that, you should think like this. Oh, well, thank you for telling us how to think. And but no thank you, we'll think how we want to think. How about, the fact that you can't, settle on a name for your band because apparently the word Dixie is racist, so you want a virtue signal, How about that? How about that for gaslighting yourself? Who's ignorant now? I thought you were a great band. I still think your music is good. Fine. I'm good with it. But just don't tell me how to think. Or Toby Keith how to write. How to make his art. Don't, that's called gaslighting. That's what you're doing. Or did. Hopefully you changed your tune on that. Anyways, this was supposed to be positive, and it is. It's just, I positively believe that I will not be told how to think. How about that? But yeah, God rest his soul, Toby Keith. I know, like, he had came out and did an interview the other day that I saw that was very touching, and I think his heart was absolutely, positively in the right place, and rest in peace, Toby Keith. Toby Keith. I love Toby Keith. He had this one album called Shocking Y'all. That's just the coolest name of the album that you could ever think. Another Toby Keith story. I remember cruising down the road with my father-in-law, and I don't know, I think I had a Toby Keith CD. I sure did. I'm sure I did. I was a big Toby Keith fan. But I started playing some of his music, and my father-in-law was in there. And, of course, we've got veterans in our family, including myself. At the time, I was active duty, when we were cruising down, listening to some Toby Keith. And I think I can't remember which song it was, but, he had several patriotic songs, about soldiers and the military and things. And I was singing along, and I looked at him and I was like, so what'd you think about that? And he was like, this guy's never been in the military, and here he is writing these songs pandering to military people. And I said, yeah, you probably have a point. He probably, it probably is working to his favor, right? But, I don't see it that way, I guess. I mean, I think he's probably right on one hand, but if that's what he's feeling, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know his family history or anything, but I know in one of his songs that he said he dedicated to his dad, that, his dad was a veteran and stuff, so that's fine. I just thought it was funny. It was really just my father-in-law trying to take up for all of us real veterans, He's like, those guys aren't, that guy's not a... But now it's funny, fun story. But no, share a smile with your friends and your family today, please. Tell them how you really feel about them. Unless you feel bad about them, then you maybe just let it ride. But if you love them, tell them. Spread the love. It's all good. Change someone's day. Make them feel better. Tell someone how good they did. If you pull up and you grab some lunch or something somewhere and they do a good job with service, tell them, thank you for doing such a great job with my service. If whatever it is, if you notice that, your significant other or a friend of yours has done something for you, or maybe it's not one specific thing. Maybe it's a lot of things built up, and you just need to tell them how much you appreciate them. Just maybe smile and look at them and tell them how much you love them. Spread it out. That's what I got today. That's my message. Have a good one. Deuces.